Hey everyone, the worst of winter is still ahead for much of the United States as an intense polar vortex prepares to unleash a brutal blast of Arctic air across the country. This will result in some of the coldest temperatures seen in years, with record-breaking lows expected in multiple regions. In addition to the impending deep freeze, a major storm system developing this weekend will bring significant impacts, including a severe weather outbreak, heavy snowfall, and widespread flash flooding. Some areas are expected to receive between 12 and 18 inches of snow, while others will experience an outbreak of powerful thunderstorms capable of producing damaging winds, large hail, and even tornadoes. Right now, a major storm system is coming ashore from the Pacific Ocean, already impacting areas along the West Coast. Over the past 24 hours, significant rainfall has been reported in California, with some locations receiving between 5 and 7 inches of rain. There's even brief waterspout off the coast of Southern California, which may have been a tornado. As this storm system moves inland, it is expected to strengthen and will become a major weather event by the weekend. By Saturday and Sunday, this storm will track across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and into the East Coast, bringing heavy snow, significant flash flooding, and a major threat for severe thunderstorms. Along with this powerful storm system, an Arctic air mass is poised to surge southward, bringing some of the coldest weather of the season to much of the country. But before we get into details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. As this Arctic air moves in next week, temperatures will plummet to dangerously low levels. The worst of the cold will be felt across the Great Plains, the Midwest, and the Northern Rockies, where temperatures could drop as much as 40 to 60 degrees below normal. Some areas could see actual air temperatures fall to 30 degrees below zero, with wind chills making it feel even colder. This level of extreme cold will be hazardous, potentially breaking records that have stood for decades. By Tuesday and Wednesday, this bitterly cold air will begin spilling eastward into the Ohio Valley and parts of the Northeast, while the plains remain locked in a deep freeze. Some long-range models suggest that this Arctic outbreak could persist through much of next week, with temperatures remaining well below average for an extended period of time. However, there is some indication that by the last week of February, a gradual warm-up will begin, allowing temperatures to return to more seasonable levels. The Arctic blast is not the only major weather story developing. This weekend's storm system will bring widespread snowfall across the Midwest and the Northeast. Snowfall amounts will vary, but some locations could receive well over a foot of snow. Areas in eastern Wisconsin and central and northern Michigan could see accumulations ranging from 4 to 8 inches, with some isolated locations picking up as much as 10 to 12 inches. Most of Iowa, southeastern Minnesota, northern Illinois, northern Indiana, and northern Ohio are expected to see between 2 and 5 inches of snow. The Northeast is expected to bear the brunt of the storm, with upstate New York forecasted to receive between 10 and 15 inches of snow. Northern New England, including Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, will likely see 6 to 12 inches, while central and southern New England will see lower totals, generally between 2 and 5 inches in New Jersey, Long Island, and parts of Pennsylvania. Snowfall will be more limited, with accumulations ranging from a dusting to about 3 inches. In addition to the heavy snow, freezing rain and ice accumulation will be a concern. A swath of freezing rain is expected from the Appalachian Mountains through New England, leading to potentially hazardous travel conditions. Most areas in this zone will see only a light glazing of ice, but some locations, particularly in southeastern New York and northeastern Pennsylvania, could receive as much as a quarter of an inch of ice accumulation. This amount of ice could lead to downed power lines, tree damage, and power outages in some areas. While the northern half of the country deals with snow and ice, the southern half will be facing an entirely different threat, a dangerous severe weather outbreak. As the storm system moves eastward this weekend, it will tap into warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico, setting the stage for an outbreak of severe thunderstorms. The highest risk for severe weather will be across parts of the Southeast, including Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and Kentucky, where strong winds, large hail, and tornadoes will be possible. Some long-range models indicate that conditions may be favorable for the development of a few strong or even long-track tornadoes, particularly in central and northern Mississippi and southwestern Tennessee. The timing of the severe weather threat will be crucial. Thunderstorms will begin to develop late Saturday afternoon and intensify into the evening hours. A large squall line is expected to form from Kentucky down through Mississippi and into Louisiana and southeastern Texas. As this line of storms pushes eastward, it will bring widespread damaging winds and embedded tornadoes. However, there is also the possibility that a few isolated supercells could form ahead of the main line. If this occurs, these storms could produce stronger, more destructive tornadoes. The storm system will continue to push eastward into the overnight hours, bringing the risk of severe weather to portions of Alabama, Georgia, and the Florida Panhandle. By early Sunday morning, storms will be ongoing in these areas, with the potential for isolated damaging winds and a continued tornado threat. Meanwhile, areas farther north will be dealing with heavy snow and freezing rain, making for a complicated and dangerous weekend of weather. Flooding will also be a significant concern. Heavy rainfall is expected across Kentucky, Tennessee, and portions of Arkansas, where 2 to 5 inches of rain could fall. Flash flooding will be possible, particularly in areas with poor drainage or where the ground is already saturated. Even areas that do not experience severe weather will likely see at least 1 to 3 inches of rainfall, which could lead to localized flooding. As we move into next week, another winter storm may develop in the central part of the country, bringing another round of snow and ice to the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and possibly as far south as Arkansas and Tennessee. Models even suggest that light snow could make it all the way into Texas. The system is still several days away, so the exact track and intensity remain uncertain, but it will be something to watch closely in the coming days. As this storm moves eastward, it's sparking some pretty intense weather across the central U.S. Winter weather advisories and watches are already out for areas to the north, while flood watches have been issued for a massive area stretching from Little Rock to Pittsburgh, covering much of Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee. These flood watches are especially concerning, as a significant amount of rain is expected to fall in a very short period of time. Some places could see up to 5 inches of rain, and with rivers and creeks already running high, this could quickly lead to dangerous flooding conditions. If you're in a flood-prone area, now is the time to start preparing, but the real attention tomorrow will be on the warm sector of the storm. From about 3 p.m. to midnight, there's a very real risk for severe weather, including the possibility of tornadoes in parts of Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama. The risk is highest in the mid-Mississippi River Valley, where a 10 tornado risk is in place for areas like Shreveport, Jackson, and Memphis. An enhanced risk of severe storms is expected, with damaging winds of up to 60 to 70 MPA in some places, especially as a powerful squall line pushes eastward. This squall line is expected to move quickly, with widespread severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings likely, particularly around Memphis and Birmingham late tomorrow afternoon into the evening. As these storms move east, they will continue to bring strong winds and potentially deadly tornadoes. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on your local weather alerts, especially from around 3 p.m. onward. A severe weather threat isn't the only concern, though. The snow will also continue to fall in parts of the northern U.S. as the storm heads east. Places like Michigan, upstate New York, and northern Maine are set to see some pretty hefty snow totals. Some areas of Michigan could see more than 10 inches of snow, particularly north of Detroit. Upstate New York and northern New England are also expected to get a good amount of snow, and by Monday morning, snow depths will be significant in these regions. It's going to be a heavy snowstorm for much of the Northeast, with a potential for hazardous travel conditions. But the storm won't just end after it passes through the Midwest. As this current system moves out, we're already seeing the signs of another big storm next week. By Tuesday, February 19th, there's a strong possibility that we'll see snow spreading down into places like Oklahoma City and Little Rock, with severe weather returning to areas like Houston and New Orleans. This storm is shaping up to be another major winter event for the South and East, and it could even turn into a classic East Coast nor'easter. If this happens, it's likely that the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast could be seeing snow and freezing rain by February 19th. Again, it's still early to say for sure what the storm will bring, but it's looking like it could be a big one. Looking ahead, it's important to remember that we're not even halfway through February yet, so winter isn't ready to pack up just yet. We can expect below average temperatures across much of the U.S. through February 23rd, especially in the central and eastern parts of the country. That means the cold air is sticking around for a while longer, which also leaves the door open for more winter storms to hit. In fact, next week's storm is one of the most interesting winter events I've seen so far this season, and it's one to keep an eye on. It's going to be a challenging few days ahead for many, especially with the potential for severe weather tomorrow and significant flooding risks. For now, let's focus on the next 24 to 48 hours. Tomorrow could bring some intense storms, with everything from tornadoes to flooding rain, especially across the deep south and mid-south if you're in a storm-prone area. Make sure to stay informed and have a plan in place. With this system expected to bring rain, snow, and severe weather all in one, it's essential to keep an eye on local alerts and be prepared for changing conditions. And even after this system passes, there's another major winter storm to track. So stay alert and be ready for more wild weather ahead. This is a big one, and it's one that will make an impact across much of the country. Stay safe and be prepared because the weather's not done with us yet.